And sorry, Eric, you had a question?
Yeah, is there a certain type of banking account you need for these campaigns, or does it have to be in the name of the campaign itself, or do you do it for your personal account?
Excellent question. Pretty much all federal and local law is you cannot commingle funds. So you want a separate account, committee to elect. Unfortunately, it's getting tougher and tougher at banks to open those types of accounts. So be prepared when you deal with the bank that you're going to have a certain amount of documents. You may have to get an SS4 from the IRS, which gives you a tax identification number. It's not that hard. Just it's another step that you have to do. So if you're thinking, oh, I got to pay for that in 2 weeks, you better get the campaign open now.
If you're thinking death by 1,000 small cuts, it is. I mean, all these things are really easy. It's just that there's so many of them.
Which is why you want to check out the finance manuals on FEC.gov and at the Secretary of State that's posted behind you. If you go read those documents, for the most part, they will tell you what you need to know. So it's not, there are a lot of things you have to know, but they're out there for you.
They don't want to scare anybody, but we do want you to realize that there are consequences if you don't jump through the hoops that they're going to set out for us.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Now, if you're running for federal office, and I'm sure I could look at the website and find this answer, but if you're running for a federal office, do you have to worry about state laws?
Yes.
So you do have to be aware of everything.
But in general, the federal law is going to override. However, you have to at least be cognizant that, is that a fair statement? Or, I mean, you can't, like,
It depends on the law. I mean, when it comes to the finance law, campaign finance law of the state of Indiana, you can ignore that. You follow the federal campaign finance law. When it comes to your behavior at a polling place, where you can or can't be, the state law applies.
Sure.
For example, in Indiana, a candidate can get a donation from a corporation, no problem. But
up to $1,000.
Up to $1,000. As a federal candidate, I won't say it's no good, but it's practically useless. There are certain things that you can use corporate money from, but in general, you're not going to be able to spend on what you want to.
And one thing I'd like to mention, because I don't want anybody scared, is that we've had an awful lot of people who became treasurers who became quite good. Why were they good at it? They read the manual for the first. Yeah, and then they kind of followed what was said on that, and they took it seriously, and that was their job. I've been campaign treasurer on a couple of the Secretary of State campaigns, and I just read the manual to figure out what it was. I was a lawyer, so I understood the legalese, and if I didn't understand something, I could go back, look at the statutes and cases to get a better understanding. So I was kind of lucky in those points. But most people, it's just if you just concentrate on it, you'll do very, very well. Just use good practices. Keep records. Follow the laws. Keep deadlines. Things that most businesses have to do all the time.
And for state questions, for state candidates, Dale Simmons and Leslie Barnes, they're the Democrat and, Republican and Democrat co-counsels, respectively, at the state election board. That's Dale Simmons and Leslie Barnes. They are fantastic. Pam Potest and Brad King are the election division commissioners. They're fantastic. They will answer your questions in a timely manner. They're very friendly. They're very helpful. We have a good relationship with them. Do not be afraid to call the election division if you have questions. If we can't answer them, but don't be afraid to call the election division and ask any questions.
Ed, you have
one other thing too, when you're filing your finance forms with the state, they do have an option where you can file them electronically. They have a, matter of fact, it was kind of nice because it remembers what your last filing was. So it just picks up from there, and all you have to do is add in everything that happened between that filing and the new filing, and it'll update all the numbers for you.
Thanks for mentioning it. I didn't mention it, but that's one of the things Indiana's being good at is getting that done.
That, however, is not for county offices and below. That's only for state rep, state senate, and the statewide offices. One thing, I know that Mark kind of scared people in going through his presentation, and Todd did also. Honestly, I've run several campaigns, as I mentioned earlier, and it's not all that difficult as long as you do it on an ongoing basis, which Mark said. This is one form is the itemized expense form for any state campaign. For Indiana, federal campaign's a different story, but for you running for Township Advisory Board or Governor of Indiana, this is your expenditure form that you should have in front of you or over the table. It's pretty simple. Who gave you the money? Where'd the money go? What their occupation is? What kind of expenditure is? How much was it? It's pretty simple. The contribution forms are the same. There's one, the one that you're going to use most often is the one for individual contributions. On a rare occasion, you might get some PAC money. On a rare occasion, you might get some corporation money. I doubt you're going to get any union money running as Libertarian, but you know, miracles happen.
We have.
And that's, again, pretty self-explanatory. Who gave you the money? What's their address? What's their occupation? How much did they give you at this point in time? How much have they given you total? And you just keep a running total. As long as you keep those forms up on a daily basis or weekly basis or whatever, when it comes time to actually file the campaign finance form with all the stuff behind it, the receipts of the political campaign committee shouldn't take you that long. Many of our campaigns will be running on $0 or less than a few $100. And really, it's not that hard to put zeros all over this form and send it in. But you just got to do it on time.
But that's a good point, Sam. Even if you say, if it's zero, file it.
Yeah.
If you're ever in doubt about something, file it. File it on time.
On time.
You will not get penalized for overfiling.
They honestly, you could commit a felony, as one of the former Indianapolis City County Councilors did on these forms, but at least what I consider a felony, because he lied on the form, and we caught him on it, and he went back and amended it. He filed it on time, though. It was timely, so they didn't give a damn what was on the form until Brad Kloppenstein found the felony lies on it and turned
Alleged
it in.
felony lies, never.
Alleged lies.
Alleged.
Well, alleged lies, excuse me. And he was allowed to go back and amend his form, and the Marion County Election Board said, oh, that's all right, we're not even going to fine you for it, and the prosecutor declined to prosecute. But he did file the forms on time, so the county election board really didn't care what was on the form.
And there is a calendar on that guide, so let's thank Todd and Mark for